Hey everybody, this is Frank Salas, also known as the talented Mr. Salas. I am the founder of the Talent Tribe, where I serve those with talent and transform them into thought leaders. If you've ever wanted books, sponsorships, digital courses, or become social media famous, I'm your guy, and I have a tribe where I drop complimentary trainings on how to make that happen. With this particular podcast that we're doing today, I have a wonderful guest all the way from Italy. Michael Carbone is going to introduce himself here a little bit, but I want to tell you how I found him. So part of the curriculum that we're covering right now is how to monetize social media. The number one question that I get when I meet somebody is, how do I make money online? And of course, for everybody in the Talent Tribe, all of my superstars, you know, the first step is you have to find your value to the marketplace. The second step is you have to identify your target follower, not your target audience. I don't need a range of 35 to 45. I need to know, is this man or woman 36, 37, 38? And when they go to a coffee shop, do they order coffee, tea, and do they take it with sugar, Splenda, or stevia? That's how specific I need to know so I can better serve you. Then after that, I need to do market research with you. Then we have to go and see or develop a content creation strategy so you can attract people your way. Then when you have people coming to you, you start to build a tribe. Then after you build a tribe, you have to engage and serve your tribe. And then, and only then, you may do webinars. So if you're thinking about getting into online business and you want to do webinars first, you might have some limited success, but we're talking long-term, we're talking empire, we're talking dynasty here. And so, you know, if you haven't covered any of those materials in our complimentary trainings with the Talent Tribe, make sure you go back and watch this. If you're, you know, listening to this on iTunes, Podcast Republic, make sure you subscribe, throw us a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce all the way from Italia, Michael Carbone. Michael, tell the fine folk in the Talent Tribe a little bit about yourself.
What's going on, guys? Frank, thank you so much for that epic introduction. That is probably the most amazing introduction I've ever had in my entire life. You are very talented, so your screen name lives up to the hype. I'm in Italy. I'm Canadian, actually. I'm of Italian descent, but I'm from Montreal, Canada. I've been living there my entire life up until recently. So up until, you know, I went to school, university in upstate New York, which took me away from Montreal. And after I graduated, I went back home there, started working a normal 9 to 5, normal life. After graduating with a master's degree, I got an MBA, and I said, okay, what's left to do after you graduate an MBA is to go into the corporate world, get a good job. And long story short, as you probably imagine how the story goes, I was unfulfilled, unhappy. I just was disappointed with the expectations I had of life after college and just didn't live up to the hype for me. So, you know, I picked up the 4-hour work week. I followed all these inspiring entrepreneurs online. And I started having dreams of starting an online business. I had dreams of starting a blog and helping people and doing things on a bigger scale and doing things that made me feel fulfilled and made me feel happy, like I was making an impact and like I was serving people and I was inspiring other people. So I can talk to you about a few more specific events that helped make, you know, the life-changing moment or the mind shift that I made. But like I said, I'm from Canada, but I'm in Italy right now because I've been traveling quite a bit over the last 2 years. I spent the last 2 winters in Thailand because I hate the cold, and it is so cold in Montreal. So right now I'm in Italy. So we're enjoying the time here for the summer, trying to get away from the extreme heat of Thailand, a little more reasonable heat here, and better food, better culture. I'm Italian descent, like I said, so it's like home to me. And yeah, I'd love to tell you all about it. If you guys have particular questions for the guys that are joining us on Blab, I see these props going crazy. We're at over in 700s, and this is my first Blab, so this is new to me, and I'm really excited.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, you're definitely, definitely killing it. You're definitely rocking it out, man. So there's a few things that you said that I want to maybe zone in on and focus in for my superstars in the Talent Tribe. So you have spent the last 2 years traveling and you don't have a 9-to-5 job. So there's something that you're doing that is sustaining your expenses, your travel, all of that. But before you got there, it wasn't always like that. We're going to get to that part right there. We're going to take everybody to the desserts, but we got to make everybody eat their veggies. So that's what I call it. So how did you eat your veggies? Tell us about eating your veggies. How did that first, transition period start?
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, when I first quit my job, it was a very hard thing to do, obviously, as you know. I quit my job with no backup plan, with no side business. I didn't believe in, starting a business on the side while I was working full time, and then getting to a point where my business was doing, certain X dollars in revenue that I was comfortable enough to start, going off on my own. I'm from the mentality that I need like a big risk. I need to be afraid of failure in order to take massive action. So for me, it was quitting my job with no business and saying, okay, now I have no revenue stream. Now I have no job. I'm at home all day long. I need to make this work. There's no plan B. Like I tore down all the bridges. I, burnt down the bridges. Literally, there's no backup plan. So what I started doing was everything, that an MBA would do, like marketing consulting, like high-end stuff that I thought was fancy. And that when I met someone, they say, what do you do for a living? Which is the question that everyone gets all the time. And this was something I was very, self-conscious about for a long time because, I was off on my own. I was an online entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur. I was trying to be one, I should say. And I wanted to sound important. So I would say like, I want to do marketing consulting. I want to do X, Y, and Z and all these crazy things. And then after like 3-4 months, that just wasn't working. Like I wasn't making enough money. I wasn't making any money probably. I mean, the first 3-4 months, I probably made closer to $0 than I did close to $100. So really, really wasn't working out. And it's just because I was trying to reinvent the world. I was trying to do things that just weren't working for me and weren't working for who I was and what I was passionate about. And it came out in my work. And, for me, the easiest way to start an online business, and this is obviously there are hundreds of ways to start a business online, but for me, the easiest way and something that everyone could do is to start an online course. So what I did was I launched my first online course and I used webinars to launch the course. I used webinars to then build a loyal email list of subscribers who loved me and who we interacted with and we had a relationship with. And then I used webinars to sell my course over and over and over again. And I could tell you how I came up with my idea, how I found, what I'm passionate about, what I'm knowledgeable about. And when it comes to creating an online course, the reason why I say it's the easiest or something that everyone can do is because I truly believe that everyone has specific knowledge or specific skills that they could package and sell into like an online course, an online program, something online. And I think we all see that, or a lot of us do see that, but then the hard part becomes selling that course and making revenue and, not making 1 or 2 sales, but making enough sales to sustain travel or making enough sales to sustain, your lifestyle wherever you want it or wherever you want to go with it. So yeah, we can get into that if you'd like, but I think it's really cool because the story is interesting. And I launched in a very uncommon niche when I first launched. And then I pivoted and, we went ups and downs, side to side. And I got here where I am today doing something completely different. But if it wasn't for that first online course that I started and I had a profitable course that allowed me to get away from Montreal and learn about this travel lifestyle and see the world and meet all these amazing people and see all these people doing something similar in some capacity, traveling as digital nomads, made me believe that this is sustainable long term, and I can do this, and I can, level up if I, for a lack of a better word, actually. So yeah.
Yeah, level up's a great word, man. I think level up is a fantastic word, and I would love to have you break down your first entry. What I want the superstars to know is that he burned his boats. So you said burn his bridges. So I'm from the Art of War, philosophy
Yes.
and School of Thought by Sun Tzu, one of my favorite books. And if you are a general and you are going to take an island, burn every single one of the boats. And the mentality behind that, for those of you who haven't read the book, and that is a must read, for those who have read the book, it's a must read. If you burn the boats down, your men will not have that second, that plan B, like, okay, we can retreat, we can go, we can flee. There's like, you either succeed or you die. And when people are put in that position of succeeding or dying, most people typically succeed, most of the time when they're driven that way. So that's what you did. And then, I don't want to say you died, but you were dying. You had 3 to 4 months of relatively no income coming in, and you made a switch. So tell us about that switch. What was the thing that changed?
Yeah, so I love that you broke it down that way, because when I say burn down the bridges, that is exactly what I mean. I was thinking of it from a military standpoint, was when you cross the bridge to get into enemy territory, you burn down that bridge so you cannot retreat. And I've done this in many different aspects of my life. And finally, I had enough confidence to apply it to entrepreneurship and online business. But I applied this to running an Ironman. If you guys follow me online and if you've seen my Instagram or you've seen my website and you know my story, I signed up for an Ironman triathlon, which is known as the hardest day in all of sports, without knowing how to swim and without owning a bicycle. And for me, it was the same thing. Just sign up for the race and then figure it out from there, because then you have the accountability, you have the timeline, and you know that you need to do what to succeed, because race day is coming. So that was the mind shift moment I had, because I did finish the Ironman and I did it in 9 months. And I said, oh, wait a minute, like if I could learn how to swim, yeah, thanks, man. If I could learn how to swim, And I didn't, literally, my first day in the pool, I swam 25 meters and my coach was like, you have a lot of work to do. If I could do that in athletics, why can't I do this in any other aspect of my life? So I said, I could. And anyone could, right? And it really comes down to burning down the bridge and putting yourself in a position where you have no choice but to succeed or you die, like you said. So I had that moment and I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for it all in, you know? And so I quit my job and I started the business. And after 3-4 months, like you said, things was not working. And because I was in this position to succeed or die, I said, I need to be a little more creative as to how I'm looking at this. I can't be closed-minded. I can't be stubborn about, you know, doing what I think is the perfect plan. I need to do what works right now. And then, you know, I'm going to start building some momentum. I'm going to start learning. I'm going to start creating a network, a tribe like you have. And I'm going to start leveling up slowly. And that's what I did. And the reason why I say this story is because I started an online course in a niche that I never thought I would go into. And the reason why that's the case is because, like I said, I needed to make it happen. So what I did for my online course, my first ever course, my first ever online business, I should say, was in online poker. So I played a lot of online poker in college. I was fairly successful. And what happened was I started getting people come to my poker table and ask me for coaching and say, hey, man, I've been following you. I see that you're playing well. I see all your stats online. Could you coach me? And I had never considered coaching someone in poker. I mean, for me, it was a card game. It was something that I made a side income doing. And, you know, when someone asked me that question, it really lit the light bulb. But that was in college. And then after I graduated, you know, I threw online poker out the window. I stopped playing. I said, time for real life. So then after 3-4 months of struggle, I said, okay, I sat down and I made a list of what specific skills do I have? What specific knowledge do I have? What can I teach someone? And to make a long story short, once again, I had this list of like 10 items and I said, I'm going to pick one that is the most profitable, the one with the most potential. And when I looked at the situation, I said, okay, I already have a reputation online for screen name because I did fairly well in poker. And if I, you know, create an online course, I can leverage that reputation. It's also a skill that people are looking for because it's a skill that can help someone make an income or make a side income. And at the same time, my target market is people who are already playing online poker, already playing poker in casinos. They're seeing it as an entertainment expense. So why not turn that entertainment expense into an activity that you can generate some income with? So I said, okay, let me start an online course about how to make 1K per month playing online poker or how to make a side income playing online poker. And that was my first online course. And it went really, really well. And the reason why things worked in that niche was because I was able to discover webinars. And when I discovered webinars, the platform, the structure, the relationship building, the communication, how to create that trust, how to show credibility, my course took off. And the reason for that is, like I said, it has to do with webinars 100% because I was able to teach someone on a webinar about online poker. And at the same time, I was even able to play live and say, hey guys, take a look at my screen. I'm going to play live. You get to see my cards and I'll narrate. I'll give you my thought process. I'll tell you exactly what I'm thinking, why I'm raising here, why I'm calling, why I'm folding. So you get to be in my mind and you get to see what I'm like, what I play like. And that built insane trust because they're like, wow, your thought process is very advanced. And it's not luck. It's not, you know, you're not just going with your gut. There's a systematic approach that you're taking. And I want to learn that approach. So if it wasn't for those webinars that I was hosting, I wouldn't have been able to communicate that. I don't think a sales page communicates that. I don't think email marketing communicates that clearly. And at the same time, I was able to interact with people. They would ask me questions. I would answer them. I would share my story. They get to see my face like this. They'd hear my voice and see my personality and see my energy. So it did a lot for my business. And what happened with webinars was, you know, at the time, I wanted to start my first online course. I wanted to create an income that allowed me to travel. So I was happy with making 1K a month, 3K a month. And it was sustainable for me because I said, you know what? I'm able to travel places like Thailand and live very comfortably on 1K US a month in Thailand. Very, very comfortably. Travel Southeast Asia. I was in Australia, backpack coast to coast. And when I came back to Montreal last year after that trip, I said, okay, online poker has run its course for me. It's not something I want to do forever. I feel like I can offer way more to the world. I feel like I can inspire more people on a different level. Let me use my experiences now to help people do something similar. So I had obsessed over webinars because literally when I was traveling, I would host a webinar once a week, once every 2 weeks, make enough income to last me a month in Thailand, and then have a great time. So I was living that kind of lifestyle where I was, you know, enjoying my life, running a webinar once a week, and make enough income to keep going. But like I said, it wasn't something I wanted to do. I had bigger plans for myself, bigger expectations. And I said, okay, I know everything there is to know about webinars. I know everything there is to know about, selling a course or selling something on a webinar, how to inspire people, how to use influential communication, how to pitch, specific strategies of sales to make sure people buy. And I said, okay, I want to pivot now. Poker was great. It allowed me to get started. I have confidence. I built this confidence in myself. I learned so much because, I learned how to create a WordPress site. I learned how to podcast because I started a poker podcast as well. I learned how to create an online course. I learned all these things. I said, now that I know all this knowledge, let me launch my own personal brand and let me help people, start their own online business, launch their first online course, and teach them how to use webinars to do that. So that's what I'm doing today. And that's what I want to share with you guys if you're interested in learning a little more.
Oh, we're totally interested in learning this. Everybody I know is on the edge of their seats right now. They're like, how did you do that? But before we get into that, I want to backtrack a little bit because I'm all about getting the diamonds, pulling out the gems from the process. I love to watch successful people when they first got started. Like, I love watching young Steve Jobs. I love watching young Tony Robbins because it allows me to see their transformation. Because I might have seen, Tony Robbins or Steve Jobs like as billionaires, but when they were like coming up, that's where more of like the value that I get. Like, if they did it this way, if they were like this, I can do it too. It's just inspirational for me. So I want us to maybe inspire the tribe a little bit more on the actual process. And I want to focus in on a few things that you had said. The first thing that you had said is you took an inventory of yourself. You were like, this is the value that I have. And this is the first exercise in the Talent School, which is my premier course. And it's now a prerequisite before working with me one-on-one, because I've also made several pivots in my business. And now instead of doing the same thing over and over again, like, you don't want to teach people poker. You're like, okay, go to my course. I don't want to teach people the basics of social media. And so I just made a course about it, and now I direct them that way. Then they can graduate and slowly work their way up to one-on-one time with me. And I wanted to break that down to people so people can see that you do get bored of talking about the same things. You do want to switch up content. A human being needs uncertainty. We need spontaneity. We need that interesting X factor. And you did that. So you took your focus from your skill that you had of poker playing, which, by the way, is like the second exercise of the Talent School, which is, what are people coming to you for help with now? What are people breaking your door down, asking you for help? And you were able to realize naturally that you could solve this need, you could solve this problem for people, and they were able to pay you for it and compensate in exchange of value. So they would give you money, which you valued, and you would give them knowledge, which they valued. It was an exchange of value there. So I just wanted to break that down a little bit further. And then, I think we're doing great on that. Moving forward, tell us about the process. So we got your first webinar, which was poker playing. You don't have a list, you don't have a tribe, you're going out and you're trying to generate this revenue. You're doing webinars once a week. How did you get people to the webinars? What was your first webinar like? What was that whole experience like?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But first, I want to add on this point that you talked about. So you said, what are people breaking your door down for? And I think this is interesting because people were asking me about this for such a long time. And I just kept saying, no, like, I'm not going to teach you what I know, because then you're going to become my opponent, right? We're going to play against each other. I don't want to improve the competition around me. And that's actually one of the thoughts in the poker world. There's not many people who coach because they say, you're just making the games more difficult. But I believe in, the human being is all about improvement, no matter what. If I coach someone or someone else coach someone else is going to learn. And it's all about improving, the industry, improving the game. And that's how I learn as well. I learn more by teaching. I feel like I'm a better teacher than I am a poker player, because when I'm teaching, I'm able to detach my emotions. I'm able to think critically while things are happening, and I'm able to do a better job with that. So yeah, people were asking me for a long time to teach them. And I just kept saying no until I stopped being stubborn. Like I said, I stopped doing things for the wrong reasons. I started being a little more humble about it and be like, okay, you know what? This is what people want. I can start very quickly doing this. So let me do it. And that's what I got to say for a lot of people listening. There are things that you are good at that people want to learn from you. And you don't need to be a credentialed doctor or a credentialed psychologist to offer someone advice. I truly believe that today, in this world that we live in, you can become an expert through the results you help other people achieve. So I wasn't the best poker player in the world. I wasn't making millions of dollars playing online poker. I was doing very well, but there are many, many other people who are much, much better than me. So what I want to say to the people listening is think of something people ask you for help about, and don't say, yeah, but who am I to help them? Or I'm not an expert. You are if you can help people get results, right? If you can help 10 people, 20 people, 100 people get the results you want, all these testimonials are credibility, are proof that you can do it. The other thing I want to mention is that when you want to get started, you need to start here, not there. You want to start where you are, not where you want to end up, right? So if you're following 7-figure entrepreneurs and you're seeing people that you're inspired by, it's great to have the inspiration. It is necessary. I think it's vital because inspiration helps you take action. But don't try to emulate people who have 7-figure businesses, because the things they do in their business aren't necessarily what works for your business. And things that they say in their newsletters or the tone that they write in when they're selling a premium product is not necessarily the same tone that works with an audience who's trying to buy an entry-level product, right? So there are certain things you need to do differently. So inspiration is good. Learning from people who are ahead of you and where you want to be is amazing. But start where you are and not where you want to end up. And that's what I did, and that's how I was able to learn along the way and become better. So when I'm in a situation that I want to be in, I'm ready for it, and I'm not out of my league either. So going back to the question was, how did I get started? My first webinar. How did I get people there? And this is why I love webinars, because I truly believe that you could launch a business via a webinar, because that's what I did. So if I could do it, so can you. I love saying that, and it's true. So what I did was, I didn't even have a website at the time. I wanted to test my idea. I said, okay, I want to get started in this. I want to see if people are willing to pay money for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post an ad in a forum. I paid $150 for an ad in a poker forum where there was my target market. This is a forum that people went to read about online poker. They went to read strategy. They went to ask questions. And I posted an ad there that said, hey guys, I'm running, my name is so-and-so online. Here are some of my results. So here are some of my credentials. And I'm hosting a free workshop where I'm going to be teaching you X, Y, and Z. It's 100% free to join. I'd love to see you there. And by doing that, I think on the first time I did that, I had maybe 100 signups or so, which blew me out of the water, because I'm like, oh my God, there's 100 people on this webinar that I'm hosting. I had zero list. So what happened was I paid $150 for this ad. Now my email list grew from 0 to 100 like this. Then I had 100 people on this workshop where I was able to interact with them, teach them, show them my knowledge, show them my personality, show them, what I'm about and what I can offer them, and then make them realize that I have a solution to their problem, right? And then I pitched them my course that I didn't even create yet at the end of the webinar. So I did a pre-launch. So basically what I said was, I'm going to be launching a course on, let's say today is July 14th, is it? I'm going to be hosting let's say I'm hosting a webinar today. My course starts August 1st. If you buy today, you get a 50% discount for the course that starts August 1st. So what I did was I hosted that webinar and I made sales. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I literally started from the absolute bottom. Like I said, I didn't even have a website yet. I literally just sold myself and my knowledge on this webinar. And it was like so ghetto. At the end, I didn't even have a buy now button. I remember I said, if you want to join, PayPal me at michaelcarbonate@gmail.com. I put my email address there, my PayPal. So just PayPal me. And I'd done such a good job at creating that trust that people were PayPaling me the money. And I said, the course is going to be launched August 1st. And, I'm going to deliver it to you when it's ready. So that's how I pre-sold my course, and I made sales, and it fueled me like crazy, because now I was making sales before I even created a course, before I even created a website, before I even created an email list. And that's why I truly believe in webinars being able to be that launch pad for your business. Because now that I had these sales, I said, okay, I need to create my online course. I'm going to create a website so I can host it there. I'm going to put everything together. And now I started taking, the right steps needed to keep going with this idea. And then once I delivered that first version of the product, I was able to even go back and create version 2.0 and kept selling it through webinars. And what I suggest is, for a lot of people listening, they're probably saying, okay, what if I don't want to spend $150 on ads? What if I don't have that marketing budget? What if I don't want to put myself in the hole $150? Because if my course doesn't sell, I'm down $150. I don't want to put myself in the red like that. So what I did next was, because I said, you know what, I'm going to see if I could do things a little differently. Maybe I can do things with $0 marketing. So what I started doing was joint ventures. I started collaborating. I found a big website that was like a poker video website where people would sign up per month, pay a monthly fee, and they would have access to all these premium videos with all this training. So what I did was I said, hey, I want to offer your audience a free training. And we decided on a joint venture deal where I would host a free workshop for them. I'd put on this workshop, and then at the end, I would give people access to join my course. So by doing that, I received nearly 200 signups once again. So now with these first 2 webinars, these are the first 2 webinars that got me results. Let's say the first one, I had no clue what I was doing. It was even before I put the ad in. Maybe I had like 10 people on, no sales, right? So this happened. I don't want to hide that. There are massive failures there too, but the key is to keep going, right? So what worked for me is the ones I'm talking about, the one with the ads. So Facebook ads could work, but what works the best is truly joint ventures. Find someone who already has the target market you're after. Find someone who has an email list. If you don't have one, find someone who does and partner with them. Let's say, hey, Frank, I want to do a webinar for your email list because you have my target market. I have something that, is going to provide tremendous value to them. So let's work together and provide, a killer workshop where we're going to give them a ton of value, a ton of content, and they're going to be so inspired. We're going to help them. We're going to provide value. So I went to this website. I offered, a joint venture. I offered to do this free workshop and gave them my time and my knowledge and my help and all that. And then at the end, I pitched my course once again and I made more sales. And that was how I got the ball rolling. And that's what I started doing all the time. I started looking for joint ventures because this cost me $0 to set up. And we created a profit sharing agreement. So it was worth, my time because I was getting a free audience and I was making sales with someone else's audience. And it was worth their time because they were making, affiliate dollars on this kind of deal as well. So that's what I did. At the beginning, I said, joint venture is the way to go because they cost $0. But unfortunately, in the poker space, it's very, very small niche that I was in because I wasn't even just teaching online poker. I was teaching a very specific game. It was heads up sitting goes, which is one-on-one poker. And it was a tournament style. So there's heads up sitting goes in terms of cash game. There's heads up sitting goes in terms of poker style, in terms of tournament style. And then there's different structures. So I was super, super niche. And that's number one was a huge reason for my success. But then I got to a point where joint ventures were very scarce. So then I went back to the forum ad, posted a forum there. I've tried Facebook ads as well. And for those listening, if you want to take, like a note out of my book or out of my playbook, I would say number one is the joint ventures is the best way because you're also leveraging the other person's trust. The person that you're partnering with their audience, they already have no like and trust factor. They already have that relationship with their audience. And if they're bringing someone on to share with them, they instantly have that credibility to say, hey, I brought on my friend. He's amazing. You guys want to hear from him. So the audience already instantly trusts them. Then you just got to do your job and kill it with content, kill it with your story, relate with them, and then, provide them provide them the solution to their problem. You're not selling them something. You're helping them achieve the goals and the results that they want. So that's the mentality I have when I go in, and that's what I've done. That's worked for my business.
Man, you just dropped so many diamonds on us. So everybody talks about golden nuggets, and I only love diamonds. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, So I love diamonds. You dropped so many there. I want to focus in and just zero in on a few things that the superstars may have missed, or maybe it was just so much and they were just overwhelmed with this excitement and whatever. So the key there is that he was leveraging the know, like, and trust factor from a tribe leader. That's what I call. And whenever I go to a tribe, I always have an offer for the tribe leader. And just like you did, you went up to people that had an audience and you said, hey, I would like to give this value and make your tribe more valuable in this way, shape, or form. And when you got that opportunity, that was your in. That was your in the door. And when you got that, you ran with it. You overserved. You over-delivered. And then eventually, after you did your work and put the work in, you said, this is what it's like to work with me. And you asked people for their business. And because you leveraged the know, like, and trust factor of the tribe leader, that carried on to you. Obviously, you're phenomenal and you know your stuff. Then people were know, liking, and trusting you. And then they were dropping dollars with you. So for those of you who already have a tribe, you should be looking for people to joint venture with. And if you don't have a tribe, you should be looking for people to joint venture with. I'm constantly going to tribes that are much bigger than mine or even smaller than mine that are really focused and going out there. So I really want to just focus in on that. Another thing that you said, there's so many things I want to focus on, but we don't have the time for it. Another thing that you said is you spent $150 on marketing, which to some people who are emerging entrepreneurs who are like, oh my God, $150, that's literally nothing. And you spent $150 to be right in front of that very, very super specific, demographic that you set up. That's very inexpensive. I come from the business world where if you do a mail out, even on those like little coupons, and you're in a stack of like 100 coupons to get people to come to your store, you have to drop like $5,000 to go to like 10,000 houses, you know, and you dropped $150. So that's very inexpensive. It's a very viable opportunity. You can also use Facebook ads and leverage the most curated list in the history of mankind on this planet and be able to put your stuff in front of the right people. So those are just a few pages from your playbook that I wanted to really highlight to everybody and all my superstars in the Talent Tribe. So, okay, you're rocking, you're rolling, you're banging out these, you know, joint ventures, but then you're like, you know what? Poker is not my thing, but I know that I'm really good at doing webinars. So what is your life like now? What do you focus on right now? What's your content?
Yeah,
like?
so right now I launched my personal brand at michaelcarbone.ca. And like you said, collaborations and building that network is massive. So I have a podcast and I'm trying to create amazing relationships with amazing people and sharing their story with my audience as well. So I interview, you know, world-class entrepreneurs, 7-figure entrepreneurs, world-class athletes. I've had on MMA fighters, UFC fighters. I've had on professional athletes and Olympic athletes as well. So just sharing their story and sharing their message with my audience. So I think that's super powerful because it's super inspiring. So I have the Unleash Yourself podcast and I go on and I'm still doing webinars. Webinars are my thing. It's something that's worked for me. And so I'm not going to let it go just yet. And it's funny because I heard someone the other day say webinars are dead. You know, everyone does webinars these days. They don't even call them webinars anymore. They call them workshops or master classes or whatever because webinars are dead. They don't work anymore. And I laugh because I'm like, it's not the webinar that works. It's not the webinar that makes you have sales. And I see this so often because people watch a webinar and they're like, okay, it's very simple. All I need to do is sign up for like Webinar Jam or Webinar Ninja or whatever, do a live stream, put together a PowerPoint presentation, teach my topic and sell my course at the end. And then that's it, right? And if it doesn't work, it's because webinars are dead. But that's not the case. It's not the webinar itself. It's the structure. It's the strategy. It's all the behind the scenes stuff that you need to do in terms of leveraging that know, like, and trust, influential communication, in creating an inspirational message, and like 100-year-old sales strategies that you can use in your sales pitch that make it work. The webinar is the vehicle to sell your course. It's not the way to sell your course. It's not the solution to the problem. And I've seen it so many times because I've had so many students come to me and say, hey, I've hosted webinars. I've made $0 on my last 3 webinars. What are you doing differently? Like, what are you doing that makes them work? And after working with them, I've had one student, Helena, who, you know, hosted 3 webinars in a row, made $0 for 3 webinars. And then after working with me and taking my course, she made $1,800 on her next webinar. And this is the same course she was selling. She was selling it to the same list. She didn't go, you know, create a new course. She didn't go find new people. She just did things a little differently. And she communicated differently, and she allowed it to connect on a different level. And, you know, it allowed people to want to buy her course. So these days, like I said, I'm hosting the website, michaelcarbone.ca. I host a podcast, Unleash Yourself, and I have the course that teaches people how to create and profit from webinars, because there's a very different thing. You know, there are 2 different things. You host a webinar is one thing, and hosting a profitable webinar is another. So I know a lot of people listening want to host profitable webinars. We don't just want to host webinars to just host webinars, unless, you know, your goal is to just create value. And I've done that too. I've hosted a webinar in the past where I didn't sell anything. I just wanted to communicate with my audience, and I love the platform and I love the interaction. So I hosted a free webinar. I provided the content. I said, oh, awesome. Thanks you guys for being here, and I'll see you next time. Right. So there's a difference between hosting just a webinar for that content, or there's another thing to host webinars to convert listeners into buyers. So I have that course where I've packaged everything I've learned with the poker business, everything I learned hosting webinars every week while traveling, what worked, what didn't work, put it all together in my course that I call Webinars Unleashed. And I have that up on my website as well. And as free content there as well, because I've focused a lot in terms of social media. I focused on Instagram only. I've only built one social media account because I wanted to go, again, all in on one account and do a very good job there. So I have some free resources on the website. I have a digital magazine on teaching you how to get your first 10,000 followers on Instagram. If you're interested in webinars, I have a free course there as well that you can just sign up and get a free 1-hour course on webinars, which is actually bits and pieces of my premium course. So you get to see, you know, what's inside the course, and you get some really good training there as well. So just a cool place. If you guys want to check it out, there's some good content there as well.
That's phenomenal stuff. Make sure you visit my boy, Mark Carbone. I was saying his name wrong earlier, so I do apologize for that. I want you to talk about how you sold a course before you created it. So you sold a course, your very first one. You didn't even have it, and you created it as you went. And I did the same thing for my 45-hour, masterclass or, prerequisite to work for me. I sold the heck out of it. And as I was doing it, like there were some days where I was making the PowerPoint right before we broadcasted it. It was just like, I had to do it. I, burned my bridge. I had no choice, but I had to succeed. I had to learn how to swim. I had to learn how to ride a bike and do an Ironman just like you did, and can you walk us through that? So a lot of people have a lot of mental barriers on something like that, saying, I'm going to rip people off. What if I don't do this? What if I don't do that? And I know you said that you put yourself in that position where you have to succeed, but can you just walk us through that thought process, walk us through what it was like, how scary it was, and what happened at the end?
Yeah, sure. So I think there's two ways to do it. You can either pre-sell your course, then go create it and deliver it, or you can pre-sell a boot camp or pre-sell a mastermind class. And what that means is basically you could say, hey guys, I'm hosting a boot camp next Saturday, and you can join for, let's say, $97, and then you get some pre-sales, and then people join your boot camp or your master class or your mastermind, and then you put on this boot camp. It could be a weekend long boot camp, Saturday, Sunday, where you create the slides, you broadcast for a couple hours Saturday, then day 2 Sunday, and then at the end you recorded this whole boot camp and you have your course. That's what I did, really. I put together a mastermind group, which was a monthly registration or monthly subscription group, and I didn't get into the details because it's a longer story. But now that you bring it up, I'd be more than happy to give you all the details. But the mastermind group was a monthly subscription. So when I pre-sold my course, I pre-sold a monthly mastermind where I promised to make one video every Monday morning for the week. So every Monday, people would come to the group. There would be a video there, right? And then I created a community as well. I created, I was the moderator of the group, obviously, so people were able to ask me questions. So there's a ton of value for those first buyers. And the key for me there was I needed to make sure every single person who was in my mastermind group and who was taking my course as I was building it, we're going to get amazing results. So that by the end, basically people paid me every single month for me to create my course, but I was also making sure they got results so that at the end, when my course was complete and I was ready to package it all together, take every Monday's class and put it in the video, I was also having, 10, 20, 30 testimonials, because now all of these students who were graduating were super happy with it. They were getting amazing results, and they were more than happy to make a video testimonial or give me a testimonial and say, Michael's course is amazing. So now when I have my course made, I'm ready to launch, I have all these testimonials with me saying, I took his course already. So you can call it a beta group. You can call it a boot camp that you do on a weekend. You do a monthly mastermind. But I like to say that I was paid to build my course because people were paying me per month. I was making it on the fly. Every single week I was making a new video. And by the end, I had a course that I got paid to make. And then I was just going to sell it. And I had all these testimonials to go along with it. So it worked really, really well for me. And it also kept me accountable because I knew every Monday they were waiting for a course. We were waiting for the next part of the class. And it allowed me to do it week by week instead of, breaking your head and doing it all at once. And it kept me accountable because I knew that, there are moments where I got stuck and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if it's as good as I wanted. I don't know. But then you're like, if you have no accountability, that thought gets stuck with you and you stop, you get paralyzed. But when you know that, Monday morning is coming around and there are 20 people waiting for this course, you break past the paralysis. You have no choice. Just like in school, when a professor assigns you a paper and says you have the whole semester to do this paper, how do you get it done in the last weekend, right? You manage. Sometimes you procrastinate until the end, and then you're like, oh my God, I have 48 hours left. And you find a way to get it done because the deadline is there. And sometimes the fear of the deadline is so powerful, and it makes you take insane action because you realize that you cannot wait anymore. And sometimes your brain needs that fear of failure to take action and make sure you don't get there. So that's worked for me, and it was a fun experience. It was mind-blowing because I had read a lot about this. I didn't invent this process. I'm not the first one to do it. Like you said, you've done something very similar. But there's one thing to read about other people doing it and, believing in it to a certain degree and saying, yeah, but that's not for me. And there's another thing when you actually do it and you realize that, oh my God, this is real. I can do this. And it's really, really empowering. It gives you so much motivation and confidence in yourself. And you start going from there. And it's really about creating that momentum.
That's great. That's great. So this we're about to wrap this up, and we're the whole promise of this, the whole title of this, digital nomad, manifest massive wealth with webinars. So we've kind of gone over, your story, how you got into it, kind of how you live your lifestyle a little bit. Give us some golden nuggets or some diamonds of webinars. Like, what do most people do wrong? Like, I've had webinars where I've done 5 figures in sales, pushing six figures in a few of them actually, by JVing with the right audiences and the right, tribe leaders. But what are like the top mistakes that you keep having to fix right away from most people?
The number one mistake, and there's not even anything close to it, is that people overdo it on content. They say, I want to teach my content. I want to show, how much I know my stuff. But then it becomes so content heavy that people get overwhelmed. They get stuck. They get afraid. You need to make sure the number one thing you do on a webinar is create that personal relationship. Make sure they can relate to you. Make sure they feel like they know you, like you, and trust you, right? That is the most important thing, because the sale happens throughout your webinar. It doesn't happen during the sales pitch. And this is something I learned from Ramit Sethi, who is one of the people I look up to the most, the entrepreneur that I look up to the most, a guy I want to read all his stuff. I want to take all his courses. He's amazing. I've heard it from him. He says, for example, like the way you can remember it is when you go on a date with a girl, for example, and you had dinner, you went to a movie, whatever, right? You walk her home and you drop her off in front of her house. You're wondering if you should go in for the kiss or not. She already knows whether or not she wants to kiss you, because the decision is not made on the porch. It's not made in the car in front of the house. The decision is made hours ago, from the way you dress, the way you look, the way you carry yourself, the way you talk, the things you said and done. That decision was made way back there, right? It's not made on the doorstep. And same thing with webinars. The decision to buy your course does not happen in the sales pitch. It happens way back there. If you did an amazing job connecting, making sure people feel that you can relate, that you're knowledgeable, that you're, if they feel that connection with you, they're going to buy. Right. And it's about doing that way back at the beginning. So make sure you focus on creating a personal relationship. Make sure you come across as, engaging. You make sure you tell your story. Make them realize that you're just like them and you have a solution that can help them get to where they want to be. And chances are, if they're on your webinar, they want to be somewhere close to where you are. So tell your story, share your struggle, share your success, and make them realize that they can do the same.
Michael, that was great. That was great. I want to maybe first off acknowledge that this is definitely your area of expertise. And before the show, you and I were having some conversation about how we could possibly JV. And I just kind of told you kind of what I've been doing in the past and kind of how I've served other tribes that are bigger. And I've had some results. Obviously, I come from a sales and marketing background. I can draw a crowd and, really push the needle, a certain way, have a lot of influential communication like you keep bringing up. I love that term, by the way. But, for somebody, and at least in my experience, and I've probably done, 30 webinars, all of them paying, none of them have made less than four figures, and I've been very blessed to have an opportunity with Periscope and build a very active following through that live stream. And I moved those people from Periscope into a Facebook group where then I, cultivate those relationships. I serve other tribes that are much greater than mine that have been established for many years. I've only been doing this for 10 months. And I've been doing, really well, and it's been blowing up. But in my personal experience, I've always had three offers, like an entry level, a mid level, and a high level. And you and I were talking, and you were like, "Hold up, Frank! Like, cool, that worked for you, bro. And your special, unique talents. But overall, what should most offers be on a webinar?"
Most offers at the end of the webinar it really depends. I mean, I love allowing people to be creative about it. I really give people permission to give themselves permission to be creative, because if I didn't give myself permission to be creative, I would have never started an online poker course, and the thing I like to think about is when I first started, I saw a information product or an online course on how to teach your cat to use the toilet bowl instead of the litter box. And that was an information product that someone put together. Exactly, right? They put together a DVD teaching you how to teach your cat to use the toilet bowl instead of the litter box. And I said, if someone could sell this course and people would buy it, the sky's the limit. Be creative, right? So what I like to do, even on webinars, is I allow people to give permission to be creative. I think you could sell a lot of things on a webinar, whether that's an information product, it's a premium course, it could be one-on-one coaching, it could even be a physical product. I've seen someone sell like a supplement on a physical supplement on a webinar, because they said, you know what, I'm going to teach the crowd about physical human performance, how the body works, and then I'm going to show them how my supplement allows them to perform in this area at a higher level. So I think webinars could work, for a lot of different industries, for a lot of different markets, for a lot of different niches. The whole thing is just being creative about it and finding a way to build that conversation in that direction, so that, you know, it all leads up and transitions beautifully at the end, and your product or your service or whatever you have is the solution to the problem that you showed them that they had and that they want fixed.
Phenomenal. We're going to wrap this up, and want to definitely respect your time. And we're going to go definitely further into this kind of stuff in the Talent Tribe, in a private training exclusively just for the Talent Tribe. We're also going to have something that we do for the public, but as you guys know, in the Talent Tribe, I give you guys lots of love, exclusive interviews, exclusive golden nuggets and diamonds. And we're going to have a lot of stuff like that. We talked about a bunch of value, but I want to talk about your lifestyle. Tell me a little bit more about your lifestyle, because not everybody, not most people have a 9 to 5. Most people have to ask to go on vacation. Most people have to ask to get a raise. And you've been doing this for the last 2 years, just kind of, on your own. Tell us about your lifestyle. What's that like?
Yeah, well, my lifestyle is, it's interesting. It's my life. I don't really know what's in store for me. I didn't really plan it this way. For a long time, I kind of just went with the flow. And, there's ups and downs to it. There's positives and there's negatives to it, because when I first started, I come from, an Italian conservative family. I come from a place where everyone has a 9 to 5. All my friends back home have a very normal lifestyle. No one really has, an unconventional approach to their life. So when I was doing this, I was kind of learning on my own and learning on the fly. And one thing I did was I just didn't want to make plans. I didn't want to make commitment, because I didn't want to, take away an opportunity that might come up. That allowed me to have a lot of cool opportunities, because I kind of never made plans. I kind of just went with where things took me. But at the same time, I also realized that wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted to have forever. And it wasn't the lifestyle that allowed me to be, as successful in my business as I wanted, because, the travel lifestyle is great. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But at the same time, when you're moving around every single day and you're traveling quickly or fast travel, it's very, very hard to build a business that's impactful and it does what you want it to do. So I would say last year I traveled a lot and I was building my poker business, but I didn't really care, to take it to the next level, because I knew that it was just something I was doing to learn the process, have a good time, and it allowed me to travel. Now, I decided to focus more on long or slow travel, which means, more couple months in the same place. So I spent 3 months, 4 months in Thailand. Now I'm in Italy I've been here for 2 months, and I still get to travel and see different places, but at a much lower rate. So I'm able to focus on, building my business, building my tribe, building my community, podcasting, and doing the things I want to do, while, having, personal relationships with people, and not, making a friend one day and then changing location and then having to say goodbye and making new friends all the time. So instead of having, one-off situations or, making a webinar and then moving on, waiting to the next one, I want to be able to do things on a bigger level now. So I'm taking things a lot slower. But at the same time, working from your laptop gives you flexibility, which I think is invaluable. I think it is extremely important. It's one of my biggest values, of being able to have that flexibility to pick up and go when I want to. When something comes up and I want to be there, I can do it, because I don't have to rely on someone else making that decision for me. So I would definitely say the biggest thing that I love about my business is the flexibility I have, the ability to live in warm places throughout the winter, so I don't have to deal with the cold in Canada. And the really cool thing was being able to meet other digital nomads, other people who do the same thing, where I finally feel like I have a lot of friends now that I can relate to. Because I think back home, I have a lot of friends, and they're good friends. They've been friends for me in the last 10 years, but I'm missing that connection with them now, because we have different views on the world and different views about lifestyle as well. So putting yourself in a position where you can meet similar-minded people, be flexible, feel inspired, and being able to even just go out for a walk here, go film a video in some vineyards and just walk down the street, and they're right out there. So really, really cool. And we're super grateful for sure.
I saw your video in the vineyards in Italy. I was like, oh, this guy, he's lathering it up. He's like, oh my God, I would love to be in a vineyard in Italy, just walking around on a beautiful, sunny day. And I'm in the same boat where I don't deal with winter stuff. Like, I just packed up my winter clothes and I shipped it to my mom, and I'm only going to be there for Thanksgiving and Christmas here in America, for November to like late December. And that's it. I'm only there for like less than a month. And it's something that I don't deal with. I don't deal with temperatures below 70 degrees. Like, it's just something I prefer not to do. I'm a tropical climate kind of guy, and that just made that decision. And I designed my lifestyle around that. So I spent a lot of time in the Philippines, and I'm there for at least 3 months. And I like to leverage my currency, $1 American, 50 Filipino pesos. Thailand's on my list. Bali's on my list. Southeast Asia, of course. really interested in going to Europe and exploring that part of the world. In South Africa, Australia, of course. So I'm definitely, really interested. And like you had said, you outgrew your friends, and that's what happens. I've been in business for myself. I'm 28. I think we're about the same age. How old are you?
27. I turned 28 in less than a month, August 8th.
Oh, nice. So, dude, I'm July 27th. We're both Leos. Okay, what up?
There we go. Yeah. Really cool. Yeah. And to add to that is, for the people listening, if you aren't making enough money to quit your job, potentially, you're allowed to be creative. You can live in Thailand, you can live in Philippines and leverage the currency, leverage the ability to live in a different location. The 4-hour work week talks about this. And I love the 4-hour work week, not because it taught me to work 4 hours a week. Completely wrong. It taught me how to leverage, the flexibility. It taught me how to be more productive, do 10 times, get 10x the results with little work. And it's not about working less, just about working more efficiently. And, you can make $1,000 a month online and live in Thailand extremely well and be very, very happy there. And that's where you can start, growing your business. Go there and build your business and live comfortably and focus on building something so that you can start making 3K, 5K, 10K a month. And then you can go back to LA or go back to New York City, etc. Right? So be creative, allow yourself to think outside the box. And one quote that I love is, how could you change the world if you don't first go out and explore it? So go out, see it. It'll blow your mind. It'll open your mind. It'll give you different ideas, different thoughts, different vision, things you've never thought of. You'll meet people that inspire you, see different things. You meet people who think differently and achieve different results and, might make you think differently as well. So I think for me, it's definitely changed the way I see the world, definitely changed the way I view myself. And I wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't gone out, traveled, and interacted with different cultures and different climates, different races, different ideas, and super important. So I really suggest everyone takes the chance if they have it to go ahead and do it as well.
Michael, I'm gonna let you go because I know you got a webinar to do later on today. Generate some revenue for your business. Final question, Michael Carbone. I want to make sure I say your name right as we close out.
I went to school in upstate New York, so I have a lot of American friends, and when I was in New York, I was Michael Carbone, but the Italian in me wants it to be Michael Carbone.
I love it, man. I love it, Michael Carbone. So, if you had to go back to 2 years and 1 month ago to the final month of you being miserable at your job, or I don't even know if you're miserable, but I just assume you were. I know I would be, miserable. So if you had to go back and just have a conversation with yourself, so you'd be like 25 years old, just hitting your prime, and just being like, okay, I want to make a change. I don't know what that is. If you could have an hour or 2 long conversation right now with that version of yourself, what would you talk about? What topics would you cover?
Wow. That's an amazing question. I never really thought of it. I was really unhappy in my job, like to the point where I was getting anxiety that I went to the hospital because I thought I was having heart attack or I was having heart pain. I had such severe anxiety that it was coming out as physical pain. And what can I tell myself? I would tell myself that, you are capable to do whatever you set out to do. It's not going to be easy, but you're going to keep going until you get there. I'll tell myself that the world's an incredible place, so you don't need to settle for something you don't want. I would tell myself opportunity is everywhere if you see it and allow yourself to see it. So don't think that, there are no opportunities. Don't think there are no jobs. Don't think that there is no money to be made. There is opportunity. There's wealth. There's everywhere, everything everywhere, as long as you make a mind shift to see it that way. And ultimately, I would tell myself, I would just give myself permission to, believe in myself and to think differently. So it's okay to feel different. It's okay if your friends and family don't think it's right. I got a lot of resistance when I said I wanted to quit my job and start a business. People told me I was naive. People told me I was dumb. People told me I was unrealistic. And then, I'll just tell myself to embrace it. Today, I like to say that I'm delusionally optimistic. And I'll tell myself, you know what, Michael, you're delusionally optimistic. Sometimes you're so optimistic that it doesn't make any sense, but do it. Because that's okay. You're allowed. I was listening to an interview from Will Smith the other day, and it said, being unrealistic is good, right? Thinking that you can fly in a metal object all over the world is unrealistic. To think that you can put 200 people on this aircraft and fly across the world. It's unrealistic to think that's possible. But luckily, the Wright brothers thought it was realistic and they made it happen, right? So many things, like just Bluetooth blows my mind. How I'm able to send a picture through thin air to someone's phone. It's unrealistic, but it's doable and it's possible, and it is today. So if you're thinking things and people tell you unrealistic, just do it, because you will get there. And that's one of my favorite quotes. Just do it. It's Nike's slogan, but it's something my mom always told me. She's like, Michael, just do it. And that's what I want to leave you guys with today.
Fantastic interview, Michael. Thank you so much for being here. How can we find more of you? Where can we find you?
Sure. Yeah. You can find me at michaelcarbone.ca. So that's my first name and last name .ca because I'm Canadian and not .com. So michaelcarbone.ca. If you want to search for my podcast, you can just search for the Unleash Yourself podcast on iTunes. And on Instagram, it's the platform that I was mentioning earlier that I wanted to focus all my time and energy on. It's Instagram, and I'm at Michael Carbone 8 with the number 8. Easy way to remember that is that I'm born on the 8th day of the 8th month of the 88th year. So 8888. So you'll see that number everywhere I go because it's my lucky number and it follows me everywhere.
Nice, dude. So I'm July 27th, 1987, and I was at 5:27 p.m., 7 pounds and 7 ounces. So you got one up on me on the lucky number.
Beautiful. Amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Really appreciate you being here. And you can definitely reach out to Michael. And for those of you guys in the Talent Tribe, you will be seeing Michael here very shortly.
Talk to you guys soon. It's amazing. Thanks for having me, Frank. If you guys want to shoot me an email, message me on Instagram, whatever you'd like, I'll be more than happy to answer. I answer every single email and private message I get. So don't be shy to reach out. If it's a question, a request, anything you want, I'm here, and don't be shy.